Can you all slide in a tiny bit?
Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Okay, so we'll see how this works without Greer. He's doing this to make sure I appreciate him.
He'll miss not earning $1 today, or whatever.
Oh, he'll still get to earn $1. That's the beauty of licensing.
But what does he make when he does this? He makes different money.
Yeah, he gets $15 for this, but he actually gets $25, but it's $5 for transportation either way.
Wow, are you taking notes?
No,
As a parent?
You know, they got to learn these things. Somebody's got to pay the taxes. They actually are now turning it back on me. When they get ice cream, like I'll take them someplace and they'll get ice cream, and I just get a lick of everybody's for tax or commission. But I don't get my own.
Oh, so you don't have to buy your own.
Well, it doesn't really cost $5 each way. Not in my car.
Well, they're driving. You know, they've got to pay for the driver. They've got to pay for the fuel. Tires have to be replaced. Oil changes.
Okay. I wish I knew you back when I was raising.
There's a lot. There's a lot that goes into life. You know. So.
Kid raising techniques right here.
No free lunches around this guy.
All right, so welcome to our Facebook friends. We'll go live here on KRMG 102.3 FM and AM 740 on KRMG. And here's the disclaimer. To make sure if we say something really dumb,
Which Daryl will say. No.
Wait, I don't think your mic was on.
Darn it!
I'm kidding, it was.
Oh. No, it wasn't actually. It's off.
No, that mic was on.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, our broadcast interrupted.
Oh, and I've got to get the houses ready.
Sometimes it gets too loud in my ears. I can watch it.
It's bad.
That's a nice little ditty you got there on the radio. So. Teams of specialists.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. I'm Daryl Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty. Joined in studio today by Tiffany Egdorf of Lindsay House and Pamela Wright and Sabrina Shaw, both of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. And we have an assortment of things to talk about. I don't know how much we'll be able to squeeze in, but certainly you have such a long, okay, Pamela, you have such a long title. You're just going to have to say it.
Well, that's why I wanted you to say it.
I can't read I've got strategies for home buyers to capitalize on today's market.
Right, because it's a great market to be buying. Everybody wants a good deal, and today's market is a place to be.
Okay.
For having a good deal. That's all it's about.
So we're going to find out about that later in the program. And
some good strategies coming your way.
Sabrina has the shortest topic.
It's very short. 2 myths holding back home buyers.
Wait, 2 myths.
He's really having a problem understanding me.
Here.
So are you saying there's actually 2 myths out there that actually hold back buyers?
Yes, they think that they can't enter the market.
Okay, good to know about.
Well, we may have to argue about it.
Let's do it.
We may have to just come up with a solution here on the air. But first, we have Tiffany Egdorf of Lindsay House. And Tiffany, I've got you've been on with us before.
I have.
And I'm not going to butcher it. You say what Lindsay House does, and then we're all going to converse about it and discuss how great you are.
That sounds wonderful,
See,
actually.
that's an easy setup.
So Lindsay House is transitional living and programming for women who are facing potential homelessness. They may have experienced homelessness, but really they're trying to rebuild their lives. And so by being with us long term, which is about 18 months, they can learn financial literacy skills, they learn vocational proficiency skills, and critical life skills. They learn them and then they practice them while they live in a safe environment within our organization. And then our goal is to have them completely self-sufficient by the time they graduate our program.
So what's the difference here that people should understand with what you do at Lindsay House and other important or valuable services in the community that are helping women under similar circumstances? Where do you really shine and fill a niche?
Sure. So one unique thing about our program is that we are long-term. They live with us for, like I said, almost 18, sometimes a little more, depending on unique families. Then they have a place to practice them. So, something really practical that many of us take for granted is how hard it is when you reunify with your kids to get up, cook breakfast, make sure the backpack is ready to go, make sure kids are dressed and ready and at the bus stop in time to catch the bus in the morning. So providing independent living is definitely a unique thing. And the other big unique piece is that we do everything one-on-one. All of our educational pieces are done one-on-one with a case manager and each individual woman, or with financial literacy, we do that with our kids too.
So is it, put us in this situation. I grew up in a 2-parent home, and mom was there always to take care of me, feed me, show me my stuff to do. I got to go to work with dad, learn a lot of things that you learn by being immersed in. Think that many of us take that for granted, because that's where we start having the divide on what we might call common sense. Mm-hmm. Well, that's common sense. Well, that I think I represent a large portion of the population who maybe just connect because it's.
Well, if I poke fun at you, I'll have to poke fun at me a little bit too. I, like you, grew up learning these things. I cooked side by side with my mom. I knew how to do laundry by the time I was, 6 years old. But we do take for granted that there are many, many people in this world that don't know those skills, and it could be for a number of reasons. And again, I specifically work with women, but there are men that experience the same thing.
Absolutely.
And it could be, oftentimes it's how they were raised. Some of these women are raised in a single parent home where mom or dad is trying really hard. Some are raised in a home where their parents are addicted to some sort of substance. Maybe they're experiencing a woman that's never been taught how to take a recipe to a grocery list, to the store, and then put it on the table, or how to balance a checkbook. And I believe there was a story that just came out in the mainstream media last week about how there are so many young people in this world that just don't know how to manage money.
Well, and that's one of, if I can insert one of my organizations that I promote a lot, which is Junior Achievement, mm-hmm. and simply understanding how finances work and the empowering feeling of that when I can do this because I know how, mm-hmm. or I have the basic tools to do that. And what you're talking about is, and I know from Junior Achievement involvement, how many children don't ever receive that. And so you're talking about filling the gap there, mm-hmm. where it's not met.
Absolutely. Financial literacy is the cornerstone, I think, of what we do. Again, we do life skills, vocational proficiency. But if you can't manage your resources, success is not going to be long-term, certainly not permanent. You just have to learn how to manage those resources, primarily our source of income. And we do that by breaking it down into tracking receipts, creating a budget every month, putting money into savings, paying off debt, knowing what's on your credit report. I mean, it's a very practical program to teach those skills.
Well, and if you can't manage your resources, you can't buy a house.
This is true.
And I laugh about this kind of stuff. We all kind of see things through our own lens, and everybody does. So it's okay for me in my world to laugh at myself, because I'm always bringing it around to about me and what I understand. But isn't that what we want for everyone in our community? Because the pride of ownership and the self-sustainability all makes better neighbors. There's not as much tension and the haves and the have-nots. and so everyone being elevated at the same time, regardless of to what level that is. Not talking about everybody needs to have the same amount of everything, but just to have the same capabilities is good for everyone, and even good for the economy if you think about it from nothing but selfishness.
Absolutely. And I would say that, one of the things that we wish for all of our women that go through the program is to be able to have whatever that dream is for them. And it may be home ownership, it may be being able to just be allowed to get a rental agreement, but so many of our women have felonies that's a difficulty. But I am super happy to say 3 of our graduates are homeowners because of generous people in the community. Now, they paid for it. They saved for it, paid off all their debt, and did their down payments. And I have another one that's getting ready to become a homeowner. And that is, like you said, a dream for everyone. If everybody could achieve that wanted to, how wonderful that is for our community at large.
Well, and you talk about the challenge of renting an apartment. You're not even buying something, but the challenge of renting. And I know this from being a landlord. How many people just kind of came to me with hat in hand and said, would you please help me? I have been turned down by 10 landlords, and I've got a felony and this and that and whatever, and it's so hard to get back into, okay, so you messed up. Now, how are we going to get back into what we might consider normal? And talk about that challenge.
Sure. It's a real challenge, not only with a good place to live, but also with employment and some other things. But, if somebody goes through a program like ours or one of these other amazing programs in our community, these folks are working so hard, and they have a year, 2 years, 3 years of sobriety. They're doing really well. They're working, and then they can't find a great place to live or even a good, safe place to live because of the way that felony is viewed. And I would say to anyone that has the ability to rent to another human being, ask them, have a conversation. It's okay to recognize they have a felony, but what is it for? Not all felonies are created equal. And some felonies are 20 years old. How long are we going to punish somebody for that felony when they've worked all this time and have money and just
want to
That's
support?
so important.
Yeah, I used to always look at mine. If somebody said, well, they've got a felony, I said, well, the one that disqualifies you right off the bat is if you attacked your last landlord. Now, if you didn't attack your last landlord, then I'm open to having a conversation.
There you go.
And those are, I'm laughing, but it's serious as to what those really are and how people get back on their feet. Talk about this for a moment. Maybe the last thing, but you can squeeze something else in. If I ask you a question you don't like, then you can answer it any way you want. You can be like a politician.
Fair enough.
So if I'm looking at someone as a landlord and want to give someone a chance, what do you recommend to just the average listener out here who's like, not to have a bleeding heart, but to have a good heart to do something that's really valuable and helpful to someone without having the tables turned and have a good thing turn bad for you? What should I look for?
Sure. I think that it is more than fair to ask those questions. I mean, we know coming into our program, people are coming into a residential setting with us. We know what their background is. We know that they have felonies, but I do want to know what they are, and I'm going to have a conversation to say, give me a little background on this. But I think it's important to walk into something with eyes wide open, to know what you're doing. I would also take into consideration their employment. Are they working? Are they able to support themselves and pay rent? And is the felony the only thing that looks a little strange? Is that the one thing that you're like, man, everything's perfect but that? I would urge people not to let that be that one thing. But I do think it's okay to ask questions as a landlord. It's up to that individual whether or not they share. But I would say on the flip side of that, if folks that are in that position to potentially help don't decide that this person is automatically just an absolute no and they're a bad person just because of a piece of information or a word attached to their application.
Now, I have a question about Lindsay House. How many women can you help at a time? How many women are in your program at a time?
Thank you for that question. Right now we can serve 13 families at a time in our current facility. We do stay full. So right now with 13 families, we have 27 children in the building represented. In my so I can get it in, happy to say we broke ground on a second facility in March. And once that's completed at the 1st of 2020, we will be able to house an additional 24 families.
Well, it sounds like they have to do things to qualify to be in your program. Besides have hardships, they have to. You ask them some tough questions.
We do. We really get in their business. Most of them are pretty good with that. But to qualify for our program, honestly, they just need to be a woman with at least one child in her custody. We do require the child component or children. And she has to show a willingness to work our program. We will teach them, partner with them, get them resources, anything that they need to be successful. But the one thing we will not do is the work for them. They have to do it. And so through our interview process, we're able to ask some questions to kind of screen for that, to see, do we really think she's willing to work this program? Because on the other end of it is self-sufficiency and other great rewards.
And is there a waiting list, I imagine?
Yes, unfortunately. We hope that we'll be able to narrow that down or get rid of it altogether with a new facility.
That'd be
Excellent.
fantastic.
Excellent. Well,
Sounds like you do excellent work. Very
Thank
glad
you.
to know about it.
Tiffany, telephone number, website, those types of things to reach
Absolutely.
Lindsay House.
Website's nice and easy, lindsayhouse.org. That's Lindsay with an E. And our phone number is 918-933-5222.
Well, you are listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. You can catch the live stream on Facebook. I was going to say live stream podcast, but it's the live stream of the radio show. The podcast comes later. But go to Baskin Real Estate Specialists on Facebook, and we're going to come back with 2 myths. Let's do the 2 myths.
Yes, that
Here
would work first.
after.
That would work
Okay,
better.
we'll squeeze that in.
Mhm.
Here on The Future of Real Estate.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
She designed the dress, but can she budget for her future?
I'm not ready yet, but I want to be.
Help her get 100% ready.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
From Window World of Tidewater,
We're the Reeds, and for nearly 2 decades,
and a few generations, we've been transforming your houses to dream homes right here in Hampton Roads. Join us for a seamless remodeling experience.
Call for a free estimate.
By the way, my client went with Window World.
I was really impressed with Window World when we were there.
They were real impressed too, and they liked the price, so they signed up with them. And I let the rep know that we have their commercial on our radio show, and it's a good commercial.
Do we have Facebook Live back?
Can you all slide in a tiny bit? thousands of homes.
So when you're talking about lean in so close to-
HomeGuide.com.
When you're talking about
How
lean in
about
so close.
how about 7732 South Harvard Place, located in South Tulsa, and it is 4,454 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 full, 1 half baths, 2-car garage, built in 1977. Jinx Schools, which is like, this is more towards the northern section of Jinx Schools when you're in that South Tulsa corridor, over by ORU, or Roberts University. And I really just want to point out, almost 4,500 square feet. This is a whole lot of space here.
Well, it's wide open space too.
A crawfish boil at.
Well, I get this message today. Sabrina says, I said, what's your topic? And she tells me the topic. And he said, oh, what's the correlation, or what does a crawfish broil have in common? I was like,
With real estate.
you don't broil crawfish, you broil prawns. You boil crawfish. So I just do this quick little thing. And what pops up, I said crawfish boil versus crawfish boil. And what pops up in the Urban Dictionary, which you have to really be careful what you find on Urban Dictionary because it can kind of be a little dicey. However,
Yes, so this response, when an idiot doesn't
so we go back and forth, and I was like, haha, sounds like I could have written it, whatever. She says, yeah, it sure does. And then, so I ask her, she says, well, it sounds like you. And I said, what? The idiot? And she said, exactly. I think... Can you all slide in a tiny bit? All this up to tie into a topic, and
So
we're not
here's the
even at a
thing
topic.
Everybody has to realize is these two were siblings in a past life, and they just can't help.
She's my
themselves. They
younger
argue-
sister.
They
No,
argue
I'm
like
his-
siblings.
I'm his daughter.
Oh yeah, yeah. One of our clients saw that, which was really nice. Right before her 40th birthday, it was like 2 days before your 40th birthday.
Yes, they were like, "Are you Daryl's daughter?" Home buyers.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Payment.
Yeah, so there's 30% of home buyers, potential home buyers, renters that think that they can't get in the market because they don't have a 20% down payment. So you don't. You can have, there are loans that have 0% down. There are loans where you have to do 3% down. There are loans where you have to do 5% down. So not having a 20% down payment is not a reason to buy a home. That is a myth.
It's not a reason to not buy a home.
It's not a reason to not buy a home.
Okay.
I'm not listening.
I can tell because you're not interrupting.
I'm managing the Facebook thing, which is playing totally the wrong stuff. People on Facebook are going to have a really good time right now. They're like,
Oh, really?
what are you doing? You're just like jumping back and forth all throughout the show.
Okay, myth number 2. Any guesses?
You have to have a perfect score.
Right.
700,
Yes.
800.
That's not a perfect score.
780. Myth 2 is
What's-
people think you have to have a 780 to buy a home. And actually, 52.4% of buyers have a score between 500 and 749.
But you can go as high as like 850, can't you?
It says 800 plus.
Well, but you have to have something
Hey,
like
if you
640
have over an 800
or
credit
650.
score, put that on Facebook. I want to meet you.
You're like the A buyer. But that is the thing. It's really difficult to have a perfect. I mean, it's impossible basically to have a perfect score. But to have something over 650 then becomes the qualification. There's a range in there, and you start to get a little iffy, it gets more challenging. But over 700 becomes good credit that you can finance, which is, I think, your point.
And some people are afraid to even start to look at houses because they're concerned about their credit. So it's nice to know it doesn't have to be 760, it doesn't have to be 800, it can be lower than that. And you've given us a good range.
So here's the deal. HomeGuideTulsa.com, home guide with a D, Tulsa.com. Get online, shop the entire MLS. It's one address, thousands of homes. When we say that, it means you're not just looking at a small selection of houses or just the preferred houses. It's everything that's available. Some of it's high-end luxury, some of it's low-end investment stuff. It's like a clearinghouse. You're looking at everything, and it's actually available. It's not like teaser stuff that you are going to click and get more information, then you can't even buy it. Like some websites, HomeGuideTulsa.com. We won't sell your information, and we'll help you get to the right people that will help you get into that house. I'm Daryl Baskin. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate. Back with more after this break.
Good job.
I want to be an interpreter for sign language.
Maybe try to be a lawyer.
I would like to run like a little cafe.
Junior Achievement gives young people the skills they need to own their economic success, plan for their future, and make smart academic choices. Our volunteers help students with financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship.
And it's really helping me understand how it's going to be in the future.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
One address, thousands of homes, HomeGuideTulsa.com. Let's start with the park on Florence, 4717 South Narcissus Avenue. I've noticed how many people pronounce this Narcissus Avenue.
I know, it just kind of comes, you just want to say that.
You just want to say that, or you?
It just comes natural.
It just comes natural. You just, like, I've never heard of narcissist.
You don't have to be a narcissist.
It's a very nice house.
It is, and we are getting a ton of showings.
Inquiries on it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good house because it's a single level with a 3-car garage, and it's in Broken Arrow. It's got 1,717 square feet per the county courthouse or appraisal, and 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths.
Immaculate.
Built in 2005, Broken Arrow schools, and all on one level again.
Yes.
So next, house. I've got 6644 East 124th Place. The luxury Tuscan style in Bixby that we've talked about. 4 bedrooms, 3 full, 1 half baths, 3-car garage, and 3,261 square feet. This is now very moderately priced for the neighborhood, and if you look at all the detail here, an epoxy coated garage floor, foam insulation,
this has so many extras.
Roof heat shield. This is just really finished. You're not going to move in and find that you need to add more to create a high quality of life. It's going to
everything has to
really
come
just
the line,
be
high
move in
quality
and you've got it all.
Well,
Home?
it's a favorite neighborhood for Bixby. People really like that area.
They do.
The luxury Tuscan style in Bixby, 6644 East 124th Place, Bixby, Oklahoma. HomeGuideTulsa.com. One address, thousands of homes. HomeGuideTulsa.com. Well, in just a moment, I'll talk to Pamela about...
My turn.
What?
I said my turn.
I want to talk to Callie first. Do you have Callie queued up here with Integrity? Let's talk to Callie with Integrity and find out a little bit about what's happening with your loans and liens, especially if you're building a new house. And we'll come back talk to Pamela with
It's not your turn yet.
the Baskin Real Estate Specialist. Kidding?
Well, we didn't know what you wanted us to try.
How many times do I have to hear myself?
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
So, to our Facebook friends here, I'm over here giving hand signals like, can you turn that thing down? There's feedback. Like I hear myself 3 times. It's like talking in a stadium. You've ever done that? You're speaking in a stadium and it's like, you're talking
when you hear
into
an
the PA.
echo, yeah, it's really annoying.
Well, it's hard for us to know what you mean.
Yeah, but we don't. Daryl just expects us to know. Like,
so
I thought he was saying microphone.
Yeah, we're moving the microphone. We're sitting
Well, that's
closer.
the usual problem. But if you hear me twice, wouldn't that be like, oh my goodness, how do I shut him up? The first time was bad enough.
Okay.
You would want to turn it down, right?
Hey, I bet we should explain what's happening right now. Our Facebook Live users might think it's weird that we're hearing Callie on the radio, but on Facebook Live
they're
hearing
just
us.
hearing her overhead.
Oh,
yeah, they're not hearing. We're not like talking over her, except over the speakers. So, who knows? Who cares? It's really difficult because
managing everything.
Yeah, and guess what? Greer is back. So not only am I missing him here at the studio because he's the one that pushes buttons, but he just got back from camp, and now I've got people calling me. It's like, don't you know my kids can't come back from camp between 1 and 2?
So he's waiting for you to pick him up.
I don't know. If you drive and you see this kid standing on the side of the road, it's probably my son that just got back from camp.
Which camp did he go to?
I don't know. It was scout camp. I don't know where they went for sure. I had it in my records. You know, I go by the Einstein. Hold on.
My grandfather's school took them on a 10-day trip up in Northern California. They went to San Diego and drove up to Northern California for 10 days, and they had to have no phones with them.
How awesome!
Yeah,
I would love to not have phones with me for 10 days.
Especially if you have kids. I can be on the phone. What else? What?
Oh, I don't know. I was sending messages and.
Well, that was
Einstein. You know, I read up a little bit on Einstein. You know, since we have so much in common.
Yeah, you look a lot like him now that you mention it.
So,
minute and a half.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, he was like, why do I need to bother myself with all of this short-term memory kind of stuff, or commit to memory these things that I can just look up or have reference sheets on? And so that's what, hey, the kids are at camp or whatever, it's here.
You have the contact if you need it. You have the contact information. Just try to remember their names. That's helpful.
I don't always.
My dad always had a problem with that. Every time we talked to any of his kids, he would run through every child's name before he would go back
1 minute.
to the other one.
It is easy to remember your kids' names now that you have notes on iOS. That's their birthdays, actually. I do the drop down and I click birthdays. and then all the kids' birthdays show up in a note.
That's pretty funny.
I call the doctor's offices or whatever to make appointments, and I think they think I'm a bad dad because you don't remember the day.
30 seconds.
I'm going to take a couple of houses here.
What about Wynwood? We haven't heard Wynwood in a long time. At least not when I've been on.
It's because you didn't show up. I did them last week.
I wasn't there. Okay. Wasn't much.
Nobody was here.
Oh, that's right. That's why I didn't show up. Yeah. That was good because I had a.
Well, we want to address thousands of homes. HomeGuideTulsa.com. Let's go with 66. I just did that. 6712 West. You just sold that.
It wasn't on your notes. Oh, it's contingent. It's still active contingent. It's getting ready to go pending.
So technically, a real estate agent here.
Yes.
A real estate agent.
Oh, this is a good topic.
We can't, even though it's brewing. It's like, okay, the contingency has sold its house. The buyer sold their house. It's going to be removed, but you can't put it in and say, oh, the contingency is removed until the contingency is actually removed, which then kind of leaves this gray area, this no man's land, where it's in MLS. So as a buyer, you're shopping and you see it, and the who knows what's happening. We got a new guy on the control board. I mean, it's
we're having too much fun today.
But you got this gray area where you're, as a buyer, sometimes you're frustrated. It's like, well, why didn't they tell us that ahead of time before we looked at the house? Well, there's the legality of we can't say this house is sold until it's actually reached that point and we have everything signed. Because sometimes buyers,
in real estate, until it's signed, then it's not official.
Right.
It's not a real deal. It's not a real deal.
People change it. They're squirrely all the time. It's like, sign it, give us the money, and then we know that it's for real. And that's just kind of important. By the way, that's the tip for the day. If you're a home seller, yeah, you do want to believe in people, and this is a fine line that you walk. Give someone an opportunity to do the right thing and do what they said. But don't be waiting a long period of time. You wait a week or whatever. I've had people say, well, I just want to give them time. That's not in your best interest. And so you need to move forward. There's a period of time where, if a buyer says, yes, I'm going to do that, I want to buy the house, they're all excited about it. You don't want to do them wrong in this period of time. Like, it's been 4 hours and they haven't delivered a check yet, and you get another offer and you're like, oh, I'm going to go back on that. Well, you have to decide, is your word worth whatever amount of money has taken place here in the interim, that you're going to go back on that and say, well, I'm no longer going to honor what I said. You don't have to, because it wasn't in writing yet, if the contract wasn't signed. But
I don't always think it's something of honor if you change your mind.
Well, no,
in real estate.
I'm talking about honoring your word.
Yes.
And so, let's talk about that. So you think I'm giving people a guilt trip of honor on their word? Go ahead, shake your head.
Some of it depends on how long you're talking about waiting. People shouldn't have to wait a real long time.
I agree too, and this is why there's no definite answer here. There are situational ethics that are around us all the time, and because you feel someone, and this doesn't relate exactly here, but somebody did something that wasn't right, you feel justified that you're going to do something that you normally wouldn't have done, but you're justifying it because situationally, it's okay. People do that in real estate all the time, and we have to step back and strip the emotion away from it, look at it legally. This is what my legal rights are and obligations. This is what I actually said. Pamela, you and I have had conversations about this with washers and dryers and refrigerators and things that people wanted to keep. And I was like, wait a minute, this was not, you changed, then we changed, so that means there wasn't a deal anymore. So don't play this guilt trip.
It was never in writing.
Yeah.
And it does lend to confusion.
Yeah.
sometimes the confusion is honest mistakes, but if you put it in writing, you avoid that.
You know is a really good thing if you are a real estate agent? Put it in writing. If you are a buyer or seller, and it's important to you, make sure it's in writing, because that's really what a lot of this stuff boils down to. And people just kind of things happen over and they forget, or the communication isn't as clear. There are a lot of people that are involved in something. A good real estate agent will reduce it to writing and make sure that you're protected and that's spelled out. If it's not really important to you, critically important, and you want to take the risk of it not being in writing, sure, go ahead. That's totally fine. As a matter of fact, we do that a lot. But the question to the client is, are you comfortable with this not being in writing? If you get here to closing and it is not here where it's supposed to be based on your understanding, are you going to be angry and feel like you were done wrong? And if that answer is yes, then it needs to be in writing.
Absolutely. And that helps clarify for everybody when it's in writing.
Well, you are listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. And, of course, that bit of advice applies all around the globe. Just put it in writing. When we come back, I want to put off The Color of Law, the book Color of Law. I'm going to put that interview off a week or two because we have several of those. It's a great book. Recommend it from for a historical perspective of real estate. But we'll come back and talk to Pamela about strategies for home buyers after this.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
I'll save it for when she's here because I can use 2 of those.
Yes, and she is in love with that book and that author. So
I'm really. It is an apolitical book, but it has a lot of political charge to it.
Yeah.
And I'm really so interested in it. And Richard, the author, seems to be, as busy as he is, seems to be very interested in having conversation about it. So I'm excited about continuing conversation with him.
But he's not local, is he?
No, he's in Berkeley.
Okay.
Oh.
But not because of the bastion of liberalism that's in Berkeley.
Wait, no. Who else is from Berkeley? Bridget is from Berkeley, right?
Yeah, she is. What an unlikely match. But if you take a look at the history of what Color of Law, I'm talking and I'm listening to this at the same time. The history of the Color of Law, there's a lot of accuracy, and we see it. I mean, you see it today. Can you just not look, especially in Tulsa? Lots of other cities have their own, but Brady Heights and Owen Park and how things moved, and the Greenwood District and development of suburbia, all the stuff that is just spelled out right there.
Hey, this light is staying on, which says my microphone is off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but it's not saying that when we're on air, is it?
Do you have saying what?
Off. Is it saying off when we're on air?
I think so.
He'll take care of it.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really matter because he takes care of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to get my husband to read Color of Law, and he says he will, but he hasn't done it yet.
I probably want to go back and do it again. There's a little Vimeo video as well. Yeah. And I need to get that posted, but that's why I just wasn't going to mess with it today. Do we have any more houses that I need to do?
Yukon?
Yeah. One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com. So the amazing Sabrina, I'm going down my list here. The amazing Sabrina Shaw has sold that house. We talked about the amazing Pamela Wright's house on Wynwood last week.
Which is a great house. Don't forget about it. It's a good house.
We have cheerleaders. That's what we have, the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. We have cheerleaders for the houses because it's like that's as client experience managers, getting someone through the process and being that cheerleader, watching out, making sure that everything's done right. That's what they're good for.
But the other thing is, if you're showing lots of houses to potential buyers, you really do learn what's a good quality house, and you notice the thickness of the walls, the bones of the house, and all the things it offers, and the house is a good quality house.
I think,
So yeah,
I brought
I'm a cheerleader.
One of my clients used the word thick when describing a house, and I think we've started a new thing. Substantial. Just makes you think of it in a different way. How about 6645 East 107th Street? This is a substantial house. This is the kind that you walk in like, this is thick. This is a man's house. Big, tall, high ceilings, an enormous dining room. You've been in the dining room there? It's like a skating rink.
Yes.
Okay, it's not.
Everything in that house is enormous.
And very open. All the rooms are very open. That's the one that has the nice pool house right in the back, right?
Pool house, which is also is like a guest house, so it could be used for entertaining. It's a full apartment. Upstairs, that is an office to die for. I mean, it's got
that is an office to die for. Yes.
A fireplace, cherry paneling, parquet floor, wet bar, full bathroom. That could be its own living suite, right there. It's open this weekend, by the way. Open tomorrow from 2 to 4. You'll see that Tamara Parker will have that open. 6645 East 107th Street in Forest Trails. Forest Trails is kind of like a South Tulsa midtown.
Now that's off of Sheridan.
Yes, 106th Place in Sheridan. So all the houses are different. So it's not like cookie cutter stuff. They've all got a different style to them, and they're
these
older.
Rolling hills. The neighborhood's really pretty. All the rolling hills.
Mature
large
trees,
lots.
Large lots.
So, and then one other. Let's do Yukon. 14430 South Yukon.
Amazing land. What a great opportunity to buy this land and to get a free house. We always say that. But
somebody inquired this week on this property with the house, and we're like, I replied, I'm like, okay, well, here are the pictures. Don't ask me anything about, we're not going to turn this into a purchase of the house because it's not a $388,000 house. It's a, $175,000 house with, some land, whatever. But the $388,000, the real value is in the land here. So
it's a great location right off of Highway 75, right?
Yes. Perfect location.
144th Highway 75 in Glenpool. In ideal, we talk about development. This could be a great private estate. It could be a development. An apartment if you wanted to. But
it's right by Glenpool's new hospital too. So it really is perfect development.
Okay, HomeGuideTulsa.com. One address, thousands of homes. Speaking of that, when people have a question for me and they're like, "Oh gosh, Daryl, can I talk to you about something?" and absolutely. Sometimes I am surprised. I think people think because we're on the radio that we're hard to get a hold of or that we're not real. We're like, okay, well, those people are piped in from somewhere else. But as we know, we're here in Tulsa. This is what we do every day. If you have a question, you want to talk to us about it personally, no cost or obligation, use my online calendar. Schedule it. We'll make time for you to have a conversation. 15 minutes on the phone. AskinForBaskin.com. AskinForBaskin. And sometimes these phone conversations are, what do I do with this real estate issue? And we send you out, give you some suggestions for some attorneys, maybe some repair people. Maybe you're looking at downsizing and you need just the resources to start making these plans. This is not a phone call to sign up for something and get hassled about when you're going to sell your house. I've had a lot of these phone calls and you answer some questions and that's it. But we want to be your real estate resource.
Here, to serve and not sell. So that is our number one priority.
AskinForBaskin.com. AskinForBaskin.com. And if you're thinking about selling, this is the peak time of the market, 20 questions for home sellers.com. 20 questions, 20 questions for home sellers.com. Download that free report, and when you sit down and talk to a real estate agent, us, anybody else, go through these lists of questions and really expose what they have to offer for you. It's not all about the glamour shot. It's not all about a fancy marketing campaign. It is about your relationship with someone who's an expert to be able to give you the right information and advice and get you through the process and to the closing table. That negotiation, there's a little bit of negotiation maybe when you sit down and you're talking about how long you're going to have it on the market, what the price is going to be, all that. You're not negotiating with the real estate agent. The real estate agent can tell you anything they want at that point. You need to be prepared to get to the closing table, which means you got to sell it to the buyer, you got to sell it to the appraiser, you got to sell it to the buyer's family and everybody else that's going to be this is a long process, and somebody needs to be honest with you right up front. 20 questions for homesellers.com.
Now,
all right.
Can't they call in as well? I mean, they have to go online. Can't they just give us a call?
Oh, you are so old-fashioned.
I know. Hey, just pick up the phone and call. That's my
918
That is so important.
258-2600.
You can pick up the phone and talk to a real person.
That's right. And I am an old-fashioned cheerleader. What can I say?
918-258-2600. And
Pamela has some strategies for buyers.
Oh, Pamela has a topic?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's all about how to capitalize on today's market, because it's one of the best markets we've had in a number of years.
It is. And
so for buyers, here's some tips.
But it's kind of drying up for buyers. Our inventory has started to drop, but we haven't seen a huge turn. We've seen some turn in pricing, where pricing has started to increase. But there's still a surplus of inventory in certain parts of the market. At that point where it's changing is an ideal time to be buying and making your purchase before it's really escalated too much. So give us some of those strategies.
Well, so that you're really ready to go, organize your finances. Really understand what is a realistic budget for you, because you don't want to choose a house that's so difficult for you that then you don't enjoy living there. So, get a pre-approval letter, then
or that you lose. So many people will it's fun to start shopping, and then you find the one that you like, and then you lose it because you didn't have all of that together.
Right, because when you're ready to make an offer, it may take you a day or two later if you don't have it together. So get your finances together, get a pre-approval letter, so you're ready to go when you do find something. Yeah, very good. Consider some fixer-uppers. If you have the time, you don't mind, they can be a real bargain because they tend to stay on the market a little bit longer. But if you don't have the time to do it, don't worry about it. That's not what you want to look at. But if you don't mind having a little time and putting the effort in, look for a fixer-upper.
Well, and I had this conversation with a client today, looking at a house, and I thought it was a great opportunity for a fixer-upper. But that's only if. That's the real question. If you're moving in with your family, who wants to mess with all of that? It's like, I want a place that I can move in. Maybe I'll paint a room or two. Maybe we can replace some carpet before we move in. But I don't need to make up for 5 years or 10 years or more of deferred maintenance. That's like weekend after weekend after weekend. Like, you kind of lose your life there for a little bit, so you need to enjoy it, or you need to have the money to have somebody do it for you.
That's right.
Because that's not for everybody.
Especially if this is your first home to buy, you may spend all your money buying the house and moving in. So if that's the case, you don't want to fixer-upper. But
give us another one.
Okay, check out up-and-coming neighborhoods. Now, because a lot of people have moved south, you have this urban sprawl going on. There's a lot of neighborhoods left that are up-and-coming. And your realtor, if you have a good realtor, will know about that. Will give you good advice.
Where the trend is.
Where the trends are.
And it's not where the hype is necessarily. There's a lot happening behind the hype.
Well, and that's why our market expert group that meets every week, oftentimes we'll go check out neighborhoods because we want to be really clear that we know what's going on around the community.
Neighborhoods that people aren't checking out yet. The public's not checking. The investors are checking out, and there's a turnaround coming. But this is why, I tell you, this is why it's important to work with someone who just understands the market. And you'll hear it when you're talking to them. You hear it in their advice, and it's different than just, spruce up the landscape and isn't this pretty on the surface. Let's strip it away. Let's see what's really down there. And that's what the Baskin Real Estate Specialists are about. 918-258-2600. You've been listening to The Future of Real Estate. We got to go. You can find the podcast at krmg.com, and we'll see you here next week on The Future of Real Estate. I'm Daryl Baskin.
Well, I
Oh,
had
and
so
there's
much
Greer.
points left, which I can bring in another time. Yeah. So good.